We were delighted to see an industrial strategy for the UK. We, as the Chamber Network, have been asking UK governments over the last several years for an industrial strategy. We think it's really important that the nation needs to set a direction for industry. And we work very closely with this government and the last one in terms of helping them build that. So we now have 8 focus sectors, 8 industrial IS8 as they are now called. And of course, with a strategy, you do have to pick. You can't just be all things to all people, which is not always popular, but it's the right thing to do. So not good to see a focus on our strong growth sectors. And some really strong underpinnings of those around skills or how we make those things happen. I think the challenge is that the industrial strategy also focuses on certain places, particularly combined authorities. And as a chamber network that covers all regions and nations, we have said to the government, you can't forget those areas of the country that aren't as devolved as combined authorities. We need to make sure that this industrial strategy works for all places across the UK. So that would be, one of the watch outs for us. With the crossover of sectors and places, we will see the growth of those certain sectors in those places and outside, as you say, London and South East, and that will work well. It will have to be hand in hand with the right sort of planning reforms for investment to be able to come into those places easily. So that's important. We can come back to that. So planning being an underpinning of allowing, investment to flow in. On skills, really good question, Phil. So we have a programme in the UK that's been running a few years now called Local Skills Improvement Plans, which actually is being delivered for the government by the chambers in most of England. And this is a really excellent programme. This is asking business what skills they need now and in the future, and working with local skills providers, FE, HE, and further education, higher education establishments to make sure they are teaching those skills for that place in terms of what industry needs. So this government has continued with that programme. It's being owned more and more by the local authorities, by local government, which is the right thing. So we would absolutely encourage that ongoing process. And then the other area for skills is the immigration system. So we're of the view that we need an immigration system that is fit for purpose, that fits with the economy that we want to build for the UK. So we need to make sure the government is aligning immigration with the industrial strategy too. They are definitely not disadvantaged. Of course, we have many other sectors that are incredibly attractive for an investment, like tourism, hospitality, leisure, retail, and so on. And they are obviously foundational sectors. So they continue to be great places to invest and important growth areas. I think we also need to remember that the high growth sectors need supply chains too. So if, for example, you're investing in a large new green energy project somewhere, there will be huge local supply chains around construction and manufacturing, but there are also the important supporting sectors like hotels and restaurants and all the things that go with that. I'll give you an example. The Chambers of Commerce of Somerset helped build a supply chain for Hinkley Point C, which was a big nuclear power build in the southwest of the country. It's nearly finished now. But there, for example, they built a big collection of SMEs called the Somerset Larder. So that was hospitality and catering. Those are the sort of supply chains, and those supply chains for nuclear there, we've now moved across the country to Suffolk, where Sizewell is being built, another large nuclear power station. So it's important to remember that it's not just about investing in those sectors, which is right, but actually they are really important supporting supply chains. Oh, that's a good question. I would say there's a couple of things there. So firstly, in the UK, the government has set up the Office for Investment. It's a joint number 10 Department for Business team, really excellent group. They are the sort of front door for inward investors. So we have a really great group of people there at the heart of government that can talk to investors, work out what they're looking for, where they want to go, the sort of things that they're interested in, where they want to put their money, and talk them through obviously the sector opportunities. Hand in hand with that, we are working with that organisation to say, okay, so for example, I'm interested in defence in South Yorkshire. Okay, we've got 3 fantastic chambers of commerce there who know everybody on the ground, from the local authorities to the planning people to the universities, etc. And we can introduce you to all the right stakeholders in that place. So I would say there's some really great structures for investment here. Of course, we are lucky to have the City of London as well. If people are looking for financial support, financial structures to help them invest. And a great set of easy infrastructure, transport, etc., to bring people around the country. So lots of sort of supporting structures to help inward investment, move smoothly and quickly. And as I said, two of the things that we are working on as a nation that have been challenging in the past is planning. So getting planning to be relatively smooth, to be able to invest if you're building or in space. For example, we're seeing a big growth, as I'm sure you are, in data centers to support the growth of AI, and then energy. So obviously any infrastructure, new investment needs to be plugged into the grid. So the government's also working on ensuring that those processes are speeded up and it's just easier to find places to invest your money. Worked hand in glove with UK government from the very, very beginning. So as you know, our job is to make sure the UK is the best place to start, grow and invest in a business. So, and of course, we are the only organisation that has that incredible local insight, local knowledge, national reach and global, of course, when it comes to finding investors from around the world. So we worked hand in hand with government on it to make sure it's delivering for UK PLC and for global investors. We are, really pleased with where it's got to, but now it's about implementation. So now it's about making it happen. And the number one, measure for the success of this industrial strategy is, does it drive investment? So we are now sitting down with the Department for Business and Trade and saying, okay, how can we work together to say, let's implement this, let's use a chamber network to make sure it happens. What are we tracking? What does success look like? What are our key indicators? And to give you an example, we before the industrial strategy was being developed, we held roundtables all across the country for UK government to come and hear exactly what business wanted from the industrial strategy. And now we are working with them to say, okay, what structures do you need? How can we use the Chamber of Commerce across the UK to help ease that flow of investment, make it easier, make it quicker, help domestic and international, of course, domestic and international investors grow their businesses. So the implementation, the proof is now in the pudding, right, Phil? It's all about the implementation and tracking the success of that implementation. It's tough for everyone, to be honest, Phil. Our latest GDP figures show about 0.3% growth. With inflation at around 3%, it's tough. We've had a new government now for a year. We saw some tax rises for business in the Chancellor's autumn budget last October, a rise in national insurance costs. So that's the tax. And business have had to absorb that. They've had to absorb that as from April this year. So that has been hard. because there's no way you can go with that. You just have to absorb that tax and, you know, hope that the business growth continues. So we've seen a slowdown in hiring, I would say. People are sort of beginning to, you know, still holding on to their money and seeing how it goes. Having said that, we have, you know, we now have this government in place for the next 3-4 years, stable government, some really great industrial strategy, some really great growth opportunities. So we are optimistic that we're heading in the right direction, despite perhaps global geopolitical headwinds. And actually, what we've seen from this government earlier this year is a lot more investment in infrastructure, a lot more signing off private investment in infrastructure, closer working relationship with our large trading partners in the EU, and as well, of course, some you know, great free trade agreements that we now need to optimize and use to our best ability. So although it is difficult, we are optimistic. We do see some, you know, positive steps forward.